Hey guys, Sean Bougie, surplusfundsriches.net. Gonna let some more people come in here. Please do not use the Q&A section. Please, if you would, use the chat section. And we are gonna go with the messages will be private because otherwise it gets glitchy on us. So I'll always use your name when I'm addressing you and answering your questions. There will be a file download. If you don't see it already, it will be up shortly. And that'll be for you to jump on and take with you. It'll have the May sale information in it, as well as an insider's guide, which is an overview of all the different programs that we offer. Let me make sure Jeff's online real quick. He's the moderator on this one. He's my business partner. And I just want to make sure he's online for the file, to get the file download on there as well. Huh. Interesting. Guys, I heard it. I hear you. Apparently there was a snafu with the system and it sent you guys an incorrect link. So you had to use the link from when you first signed up. I don't have any control of that. It's Webinar Gen. We've been using it for over 10 years. Never had this issue pop up. So I appreciate everybody letting me know. And thank you, Joseph, or rather Cheryl, for saying looks and sounds great. I appreciate you guys letting me know, but I can't do anything about it. Let me see, make sure we're good on something here. Sorry. Let's do that because sometimes that messes us up too. And it's early on. Yeah, Taylor, I got it. I addressed that. Hasha, I addressed that. Pete, had to use the link. Yep. Joseph, I'm here. Hi, guys. Looks and sound great. All right. So let's jump into it. If there's any pre-purchase questions, you're welcome to ask questions too. Of course, this is also open to folks who've already purchased our programs. So we work with you guys, on an ongoing basis. Real exciting news this evening. One of the largest payouts I ever gave. It was actually our national. It was a $380,000 retrieval we did. If you guys saw the recent video on our YouTube channel, which is Surplus Funds Riches, all one word, excuse me, said we had a $500,000 day. And a couple of people called me out on that because there was a check for 356 on there. This came in one day, guys. 356,000. This was on Monday, and 131,000. Well, what you guys didn't know was that 356 was 380. The attorneys made off with about 15. That's attorneys, right? And then the rest, I'm sorry, 356. The rest was also staking our trust account. We have an attorney trust account where we put a ton of money in where we're hiring new attorneys in new areas that like us to send them some money, a retainer up front. So quite a bit of money was taken out of that. It went from 380 to 356. The other one was 146,000 before it was all over. Pete, I see you're on here. That was yours. You know how much that was? I think that was yours. So that one ended up at 131 after the attorneys. The attorneys are expensive in that particular state. And we just had to switch horses, actually, in a couple of different states. Just the attorneys were not moving quick enough and weren't getting done what we needed to get done. So we've had to switch out on a couple of our attorneys. Rachel, pending question. I have several Maryland files and I'm waiting for a final deed. Some of them have waited 6 to 7 months. Is this normal for Maryland? Rachel, it's a good question, guys. And those guys that don't know, panning is where we have to actually estimate the surplus using a specific method, and that's with mortgage overages in non-judicial states where the mortgage attorney, or rather the foreclosing attorney, handles the foreclosure and also handles the disbursement of the surplus funds. So there's no way to get a list in those states. It's about 20 of them. Panning handles that. That's in our diamond bundle. Rachel, that's odd. Maryland's a rough state to begin with. It pays really well. There's a lot of high dollar overages in there, but some of the counties get kind of wonky on us in terms of being slow, taking their time, that type of thing. So if you're waiting that long, I don't know what the issue is there. 6 to 7 months sounds like the foreclosure was canceled. Michael, FYI, the original link I received. Okay, yeah, we covered that, Mike. Kurt, thank you for having me, Sean. Kirk Show. Good to have you, Kirk. I'm waiting for somebody to ask. At one point we had somebody ask us a question. Hey, can you say green hamster? so that I know that you're live. Guys, I'm always going to use your names, okay? There's no need to do all that. Siobhan, do I require a U.S. entity to work bankruptcy, gold mine, and surplus hybrid, or can I use either my Canadian corporation or sole proprietorship since I'm not participating in property deed recordation? Great question, Siobhan. I would not, by the way, you got to be really careful flipping property in the U.S. if you're from Canada, because that can get double taxed on the way out on a real estate transaction. As far as using your Canadian corporation or sole proprietorship, I don't think you're going to have an issue with that with surplus hybrid. I really don't. Those of you guys that don't know, that's where if you're working a surplus funds case and you find there's too much debt or the people don't want to work with you, you just take it, and before you throw it away, you take another check and go, did they go into bankruptcy, say 2 years before or after the foreclosure date hit? And if so, you can get a hold of the bankruptcy court and they'll typically give you a large 20 to 25% referral just for telling them where the money is. And you don't have to do anything else. As soon as they get it out, they'll pay you. That's been really good to us, the surplus hybrid. As far as the bankruptcy gold mine, I don't know. You're dealing with federal courts there, just like you are with surplus hybrid. But that's a good question, Siobhan. I wish I had an answer for you. I'll try to look into that. If you want to also shoot me an email to remind me, I'd very much appreciate that. I got a lot going on this week, especially with, like I said, moving to attorneys. Pete, yes, sir. I'm having a 16K day. Yes, you are. Pete made that using the panning system. I'm not going to say what state it's in. I try not to, I slip sometimes, but I try not to tell people what states are being worked or whatever, just because I don't want to give up somebody's honey hole. And Pete's made some great money. Michael, Sean, the bonus surplus funds list that came with the recent OPM auction winner program included a list for Island County, Washington. I thought you don't do surplus funds cases in Washington State. So OPM isn't a surplus funds program, Michael. You need to read that program. That's buying property at auction with investor money. So it doesn't have anything to do with surplus funds. It's just teaching you how to work it too. Donna, hello. This is my first introduction to you. I can't see any other participants or questions. That's normal, Donna. It's private mode because when we go public, it gets glitchy. But is there any work available in the Hampton Roads area of Virginia? We've done quite a bit of work in Virginia, Donna. There should be plenty of surplus funds there. Surplus funds to work mortgage and tax. I can tell you, I worked in Portsmouth. I worked in Newport News for a couple of years for a company right after college. It can be a really gorgeous area. So yeah, there's plenty of money there. Joseph, I found a surplus amount of 1.2 million, 1,242,589.89, and trying to find all the proper paperwork and not make any errors to wear out my welcome. I don't understand what you're saying, Joseph. Have you purchased a program? If you have, turn it in. We're certainly going to take a look at a $1.2 million deal, right? Cheryl, with surplus hybrid, are we required to be a certified finder in order to notify the bankruptcy court of a surplus? You are not, Cheryl. It's actually federal. It's unregulated. No joke. Is the bankruptcy court required to pay all of the creditors the full amount owed to them before giving the finder a fee? Absolutely not, Cheryl. It is not their money. They're giving you a referral, telling them where the money is. Anything else they collect, they split up depending on the order of priority of the claimants and on how much it is. So absolutely not. No issues at all, Cheryl. That's a really good question. Siobhan, Canadians cannot own S Corps. Yep, only C Corps and LLCs. Should I decide to register a C Corp in the future, can I structure in the ability to buy property on behalf of the corporation to avoid having to register in every state I wish to operate in? I need to repeat that because you missed a key point. Really good, Siobhan. Canadians cannot own S Corps, only C Corps and LLCs. Should I decide to register a C Corp in the future, can I structure in the ability to buy property on behalf of the corporation? In other words, buy it personally and flip it on behalf of the corporation, but in your name. Not with a C. Not with a C. Not that I've seen. The S Corp is the only way to do that. That's a good question. Now, if you, with an LLC or a C Corp, you are going to need to register as a foreign corporation. Even, by the way, even if you guys are in Maryland and you're flipping property in Georgia or North Carolina, you've got to register. Like I have flipped in the past quite a bit of property in Florida. I'm registered as a foreign corporation in Florida because you have to be, in order to provide clear title, you have to be registered in that state in order to be able to buy the property and then resell it. Otherwise, they're not going to let you sell it. Joseph purchased the diamond bundle recently. Yes, well, Joseph, turn the thing in. Use the program you got. Let's go. 1.2, let's do it. Donna Wilson. Okay, great. I'm a paralegal, very interested in becoming a researcher. That's great. Carol, hey, Sean, I have a panning question about the max acceptable day for file submissions. How do we handle states with redemption periods that are longer than the accepted date, i.e. foreclosed May 1st, and they have a 6-month redemption period? How do we handle these types of cases? I'm going to, Jeff, attention, Jeff, I know you're moderating this. I'm going to have you step in with me if you would, because you know more about this kind of minutia than I do. You're on the front line more than I am. I've never seen a redemption period on a mortgage. Origin panning is only mortgage. Am I wrong? Help me out, Jeff. All right. Rachel, any chance for a deals board this week? I am so sorry. Rachel, I actually had the photo done and I was starting into it. I redid it. Maybe tomorrow. I'm going into the office, so maybe tomorrow. Sorry about that. Siobhan, are the free lists for us to work on our own or submit under the partnership program? You can, if it hasn't been submitted, you're welcome to work those lists. Helen, the owner's name on the excess list with a parcel number and the excess amount, but there is no case number. How do you find the case number? Hey, Helen, sometimes in taxes, there's certain states and counties where there is no case number. They list, or there is a main case number that you're not going to find referenced, and you don't need it to do the research and check it out, but it'll mention the parcel numbers. Use the parcel numbers, by the way, in those instances where you don't have addresses. Use the parcel numbers on the tax assessor's website or tax collector's website. Use those partner numbers to look it up, or parcel numbers rather, to look up both the address, last owner. You can oftentimes even link to deeds of transfer over time. And I would also look up the legal description so that when you go to research the debt, you've got this shortened legal description that should match. The reason you do that is if the owner owned two different properties, this one foreclosed and this one did not, well, you need to know this is the one you're checking debt on. The debt from this property that didn't foreclose doesn't count against this property, okay? So you've got to know that you're researching the debt against the correct property, and the legal description will tell you you got the right one, because that will not change regardless. Even if the address changes, the legal description should not change. Case number does not show up on civil court site. Helen, again, I think I explained it. Sometimes there's not a case number depending on the state. I have a feeling I know where you're at. Kurt, when doing a structured buyout, I know you like to have at least 6 months of time to make the claim. Is it okay if I'm working with less time? I know you need at least, that's not our time period, Kurt. Did you buy the program? I don't think that's on the resources page. Is it okay if I'm working with less time as long as I get the file to the proper agency before the SG time will be accepted? Before the SG time? Where are you, Kurt? I'm going to ask you, I won't repeat it. Just ask your question. Where are you working? What program are you working? Because it's confusing me a little bit. Jeff, I'm not aware for redemption periods for mortgage sales. Yeah. So whoever asked that earlier about redemption periods, working panning is only for mortgage sales in those states where the attorney handles the foreclosure and doesn't go through the court, handles the foreclosure, not directly anyway, handles the foreclosure and the disbursement of funds, non-judicial states with mortgages, about 20 or so states. There's no redemption period for that. Jeff hasn't heard of that either. So your redemption period that you're talking about may apply to tax sales in that state, but not the other. I'm seeing some Q&A questions, guys. A notification that there are some. Please use chat, not Q&A. I know it's counterintuitive because we're on a Q&A webinar, but please do that if you would. Jeff, I'm not aware of redemption periods. Kurt, thank you, Jeff. And Kurt, I need you to explain your question. When doing a structured buyout, I know you like to have at least 6 months of time. No, we can do it in far less time. To make the claim, is it okay if I'm working with the less time as long as I get the file to the proper agency before the S sheet time will be accepted? tell me what I asked you on that, Kurt. Where are you working? What are you working? All right, let me check the Q&A real quick, guys. Please don't use this. Question from Jim. Hi, guys. I've got a case where the first mortgage was taken out in 98. The trail goes dry within a sign in 99. It's been refied 8 times since then and reconveyed 7. Is there any easy way to pick up that trail again? Okay, so Jim, you're throwing me off. Reconveyed, you mean transferred to another owner? You don't have to go past the last owner prior to the sale. If you're going beyond that, you're wasting your time. Just look at the debt that was put in place from when the last owner, before it sold, bought it and when it sold at the foreclosure. Okay, the stuff prior to that, unless that last owner bought it in a quick claim deed, the other stuff doesn't count. You said reconveyed 7 times. That's crazy. You are doing way too much history. I'm waiting for you to tell me you got the king's deed on there. I'm not making fun, Jim. Just follow the program on that. We tell you to look at the last owner prior to the sale. All right. I'm going to go back to chat. Crank it through it, guys. I don't know why I'm not going back. Oh, here we go. Chat. Carol, I'm looking at a few in Michigan, reading the sheriff deed of foreclosure. They note that the owner has up to 6 months to redeem it. That's a tax sale, Carol. We were talking about mortgage, but okay. This caused me to look more into it, and it seems each foreclosure will have it noted on the deed. That's fine. It is decided upon by the court. I believe this goes for both trustee and sheriff. Yeah, Carol, that's tax sales. There's a lot of states with redemption periods. The vast majority of them, if you go in on a claim, or if we go in on a claim for you, if we're partnering with you, claiming the surplus nullifies the ability to use the redemption period. There are some states that make us wait through that redemption period, and it's typical for 3 to 6 months to be a redemption period in those states that allow it. For those of you guys that don't know, redemption period is the tax sale foreclosure has already happened, and they give the owner a little more time to show up and go, oopsie, didn't get notice. Baloney, they got notice. Oopsie, didn't get notice. What do I owe you? And they either have to pay the highest bidder back, depending on the state, or they have to pay the taxes back within that redemption period. Notable is Tennessee, which allows up to a year and can get a little messy as a result. We can still claim surplus funds in Tennessee. Not an issue. In most of the counties in Tennessee, it gets a little hinky in Shelby and a couple others, but in most of the counties, they automatically eliminate the ability to redeem. You guys are asking some really good in-depth questions, but do me a favor. I know that I tend to bulldoze, okay? I'll answer the question how I think you asked it, what I think you asked me, and I'll crank through it. If I have misunderstood any questions, please forgive me and ask the question again. The whole point is to help everybody, right? So if I messed up on, I didn't understand your question, please re-ask it. And again, Kurt, I'm going to ask you, you said we're doing a structured buyout. I know you like to claim to have at least 6 months of time to make the claim. I don't know what that's about. So let me know, Kirk, what you're working and what state in, because it's not jiving with me. I need a little more clarity. Carol says it's actually on a mortgage sale. I can send you the doc. I'm looking at a few in Michigan, reading the sheriff deed of foreclosure. They note that the owner has up to 6 months to redeem it. This caused me to look more into it. And it seems I've never seen that before, Carol. I'm actually going to do something here real quick. Michigan mortgage foreclosure redemption. I'm going to do this quick if I can't find something. Kurt, I will go through the triple play. And that is where I read about that. Yes, sir, you are definitely correct. I didn't understand that question. So I hope I helped you, Kurt. Remember, guys, those of you guys that have the program, if you still have questions after this, you support it. It's email-based through the ebook. The link's in there. It tells you how to work that. 6 months, the redemption starts. 6 months is most common if the amount claimed to be due on the mortgage at the date of the foreclosure is, if the amount due on the mortgage at the date of foreclosure is less than 2/3 of the original indebtedness. The redemption period is 12 months. That's never going to happen, guys. It's never going to be less than 2/3 of the original debt, the original mortgage, that first mortgage. It's never going to be under that unless it's been like 30 years and they're not going to lose property at that point. That's 12 months for that. But I don't see a 6-month. So we'll look into that. I have never, ever seen that ever before. This is the whole point of having these. So we'll take a look. Oh, you gave me a link. That's fantastic. I can keep this in here and come back to it at a later date, and I'll revisit that. Carol, I don't want to get caught up in just working this. It really does say that. Homeowner's right to redeem in Michigan is 6 months. You have taught me something new. Never, ever run into that before, a redemption period on a mortgage foreclosure. They would do so by paying you the purchase price you paid at the foreclosure sale. So they have to buy, they got to pay back the high bidder. They can't just pay off what the mortgage debt was. They have to pay back the high bidder. So that's just not going to happen. It's just not. They couldn't afford the mortgage they had. They're not going to pay back the high bidder at the sale cash, right? They're just not going to do that. But it's interesting to know. Then you get the 12 months. This one also says it's 6 months if more than 2/3 of the original debt is still owed, or 1 year if the amount is less. Okay, so good to know, but nobody's going to do that because they're going to have to pay back the high bidder. Whoever got the high bid, they're going to have to pay them back during that period. And they're not going to, by the way, they just lost a house to foreclosure. They're not going to be able to get a loan to pay that guy back. And they couldn't pay their existing loan. So things do not look good with that. All right, guys. I'm going to take one more look at Q&A. I'm going to tell you, go ahead and check the files. All right. I jump back into Q&A. Jim, get into chat. Get out of Q&A. Okay. Reconveyed as in the loan is satisfied. That's not reconveyed. That's not reconveying a property. Reconveyance is selling it to somebody else. So I would not call that reconveyed. Be careful, guys, the terminology you use. If the loan was satisfied, that just means it was refinanced that many times. But if you don't have something showing that each one is dead, it's still, you got to consider it alive. Each one hasn't been terminated or satisfied, paid off, whatever you want to call it. Each mortgage or HELOC, home equity line of credit, if it hasn't been satisfied and shown that way in the records, then you need to assume that it hasn't been satisfied and it's still active, regardless of the date. Cheryl, would it be possible sometime in the future to add the case status code next to the case number on the surplus funds list? This is only a suggestion, as I frequently recheck the court docket of cases that have already turned in just to see if they've motioned to disperse funds. Thanks for all you do, guys. We're not going to do that, Cheryl. We did that in the past. It's just one more thing that can mess up and glitch and it's up there. And Cheryl, we always call you when we put one on a contract. So, and we've had people do this before, right? There are some other firms out there doing this, guys. There's other people doing it. So whatever you do, don't, if you turn in a couple of files, don't go, oh, I looked and this one's been just, been set up for disbursement, or it's been motioned to release the surplus funds. It was at you guys. We would have told you. Now the deal board will come up at the end of this week, but we would have told you. So especially if it's gone to that point where it's been motioned. So I think it's great that you're following along, but whatever you do, don't contact us. Okay, was that you? Because we're really busy handling the stuff coming in. Our goal, guys, just so you know, anything that comes in by about 7 o'clock in the morning, that the goal is to get that out, get it printed. We do a hard copy and digital. Get it printed, get it into a hard file, as well as getting it entered, all the information entered into our digital system, our CRM system. And then they're also skip traced and they are mailed and called, anything coming in by about 7 a.m. So that's a big deal. And we need to keep concentrating on that. We want to make sure we get stuff off the plate of the submissions coordinator, into the case manager's hands so we can call them now, we can mail them now, we can move fast. Speed counts in this business. So what we don't want to do is go back and try to answer questions for stuff where we've already answered it because we contacted you and let you know. You know what I mean? That's all I'm saying. I think Jeff has shut down the comment section at this point. The sale, just so you guys know, will be May 17th and 18th. The next one it'll be this May. Yeah, May the 17th. This next Friday, in fact. Yeah, next Friday starting at 10 a.m. Eastern. It'll go through 10 p.m. Eastern on Saturday. And that's at surplusfundsriches.net. Click on the products tab. Yes, you'll have to put in your name, number, and email. Yes, you can unsubscribe whenever you want. We're not going to bombard you or call you or anything like that. We're going to just give you updates for anything coming up, new videos that come out, training, webinars, any that type of thing. And you can always unsubscribe. On top of that, it just gives you a great way to get in touch with us because you are going to get an auto email. So you've always got another form of contact with us. Also, if you go to surplusfundsriches.net, click on contacts, there's a number directly from me. I'm going to give it to you here too. Do me a favor. Go to the if you haven't purchased. If you have purchased, of course, use support as outlined in your ebook, which means email-based support through Jeff. He gets back typically within a business day. But if you've got pre-purchase questions, go to the products page first, surplusfundsriches.net, click on products, go to that page. There's downloads halfway down the page. One is an overview of all the programs we have, partnerships, programs included, and that's the insider's guide. The other one is the May sales price guide, which tells you exactly what the bundles are and what the programs are and how much they cost. And please do that first and read the insider's guide before calling me, because if you call and go, so how does this work? I don't have 45 minutes on the phone. If you read through that, you can call me with specific questions. My direct cell number is 704-791-9398. That's 704-791-9398. I'm going to go ahead and lock this down. Of course, you guys remember you can still use support as outlined in your ebook. I appreciate everybody coming out tonight, and I hope you have a great day.